Hello everyone, and welcome to another MSM Composer commentary video. Today I thought that I would share my outlook on a question that has been passed around ever since the MSM Composer app was released back in 2018. This question ponders which is better, the app or the island. I have heard arguments for both, so today I wanted to share some data and opinions on this question. For the most part, I'll be comparing the pros and cons of both the island and the app in order to get a better idea of which one is better. With this being said, let us get to the first points. Starting off, let's talk about the leg up that Composer Island has on the app. Firstly, you can have as many of one monster as you desire, in comparison to the 5 you can have in the Composer app. Although 5 is still more than enough for my uses at least, I know that having more is typically better, as it doesn't put a limitation on your creativity and enjoyment. Secondly, there are more opportunities for customization on Composer Island, as it has things such as costumes and globes. Although this isn't a big deal in the grand scheme of composing, this goes back to the limited creativity, as we cannot do as much with the visuals of our song. I think having at least the costumes in the Composer app could be fun to see, as it gives a bit more life to our songs. Thirdly, Composer Island is easier and, in most cases, cheaper to obtain in comparison to the app. Once reaching level 7, you can access your first Composer Island song for free. The rest, however, cost diamonds, requiring 750 for the other 4. Although this seems like a steep price, I feel that it is very possible for your average player to unlock these extra songs over time and doesn't require any real life money to be spent. On the other hand, the Composer app costs $4.99, which may push away some people, as that can be a steep price depending on who you are. Plus, it would require an adult's permission to buy the app, which may discourage younger audiences to buy the app. And finally, songs on Composer Island are much easier to share with friends, as they can just visit your islands and listen to your songs. For the Composer app, it's way less convenient, as you either have to record your song and send the video to them, or send them the .msm file, which requires them to own the app as well. Atop this, if enough people see and like your song in the Composer Island, it has the chance of winning you diamonds. This is because in the top Composer Island section, if your song lands in the top 10 for the week, you will be rewarded with 100 diamonds. Although this is not super likely from my past experiences, that is, it is still a great incentive to use the Composer Island and have your friends see it. On the other hand, there are also some downsides to Composer Island that we will discuss now. Something that really limits what you can do on Composer Island is the 64 measure limit. In the 4/4 time signature, you are only allowed 64 measures, which heavily limits the length of your song. In comparison, although still not perfect, the Composer app has 128 measures in 4/4, which allows for much more space to compose a bigger song. Either way, I wish you could have unlimited measures, but I don't think that'll ever be the case. Secondly, there's only 31 monsters on Composer Island, one of which requires you to actually purchase the Composer app to access, while the app has over double that amount with 67. Having such limited sounds leads to making songs much harder, as you may not have the sounds you are looking for. Thirdly, as touched on earlier, there's a limit to how many songs you can have on Composer Island, that being only 5. This is such a minuscule amount, especially in comparison to the infinite songs you can have in the Composer app, so this can make it feel like a once and done for many players. On the topic of the amount of songs, another thing that is rough is the price tag on both the songs and monsters. Although unlocked early on, the diamonds to unlock new Composer Island songs could be hard to come by, and the same can even be said for the coins that are required to buy the monsters. Although to most of us a few hundred diamonds and a couple thousand coins doesn't seem like that much to us, for someone who just started playing My Singing Monsters would not have that type of wealth yet. This creates a monetary barricade, as it either teases the player as they wait to be able to afford monsters, or forces them to buy in-game currency. Although the latter option is very unlikely, it is still a predicament that the Composer app doesn't face as long as you have a spare $5 to buy the app and all its monsters. And finally, each monster can only play one note during a beat on Composer Island, while it is 5 in the Composer app. Although this isn't necessarily a problem, as you can have infinite duplicates of the same monster, it makes composing much more inefficient, especially if it's with a percussion monster such as Shellbeat. Now, I want to briefly discuss some extra pros and cons with the Composer app. A pro of the Composer app is the additional features that are introduced, such as the piano and monster categories when selecting a monster. Both of these add a very beneficial aspect to the app, as it gives the user a new way to interact with the monsters in an efficient and unique way. As for the cons, I could have gone over a large amount of small issues as I have, but I have shortened it to just 2. For one, there are various minor bugs that have been encountered by plenty of users. Some of the big ones in my opinion are the red filter square when you have too many notes on a beat, and the infamous game wiping crash, both of which I covered in a previous video that will be linked in the top right corner. There's plenty of minor things in the past as well that have been patched, but there's still minor things that exist in the app which can break the immersion in my opinion. Another issue is the poor range quality of various monsters. Some standouts are Geode, Auriculae, Sponge, Entbret, and Blevett. All of these monsters have a certain range in their staff that are arguably unusable, as they stray away from how they're intended to sound. For example, Sponge is practically inaudible once you get too high on the staff, and Geode sounds out of tune when you get too low. Other than that, that's about all there is to say to compare these two composition competitors. To answer the age-old debate, I would have to side with the Composer app. Although it has its kinks that it still needs to iron out, it's a really nice composing app that allows for plenty of creativity, even if we don't have things like globes and costumes. But at the end of the day, I think what makes the Composer app a step above is that the monster handlers wanted it to be that way ever since it was released. For those of you who don't know, the monster handlers have openly explained that they intended Composer Island to be the quote free trial of sorts for the Composer app.
The My Sing Monsters Composer app, and the reason that it is a paid app, not a free-to-play like My Sing Monsters, is that it is like what we consider to be the full, complete experience. Yeah, that has all of the features that you are sort of like, you know, on a trial basis in My Sing Monsters on Composer Island, but this is like the full one.
This is why myself and many others feel like Composer Island is lacking TLC, since it's a means to introduce people to what they could be using and more within the Composer app. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed this slightly different topic for MSM Composer commentary videos, and as per usual, let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you all later.